Good day. I, Vanessa Gadiano, together with Miss Gemma Mondoyo, will discuss the Indian epic, the Mahabharata. First, let me ask a question. What is epic? An epic is a long, majestic, and narrative poem which tells the adventure of a traditional hero and the development of the nation. Facts about Mahabharata. It is one of the two greatest ancient epic in India, along with Ramayana, and also the world's largest epic. It consists of 100,000 verses, making it 4 times the length of Ramayana and 15 times the length of the Bible. And that is according to Asian Highlights 2021. Hindus considered Mahabharata to be one of their itihasa. Itihasa means history. The Mahabharata started as an orally transmitted story from about 8th or 9th century BC, and its written form was only finalized in about the 4th century BC. It all started from these two paternal kings that were cousins, King Pandu and the blind king Dhritarashtra. The rivalry between the two groups of royal cousins, the Pandavas, were the 5 sons of King Pandu and the 100 Dhritarashtras from King Dhritarashtra. Both parties had become bitter rivals and opposed each other in war for possession of the ancestral Bharata kingdom and its capital in the city of Elephant, Hastinapura, on the Ganga River in north-central India. What is dramatically interesting within this simple opposition is the large number of individuals involved. The 5 Pandavas, or the son of Pandu, were actually fathered of gods. Pandu has 2 wives, and each wives has children. Yudhishthira is the first Pandav and eldest son of Kundi and god Dharm. And then he became the great ruler. Next is Bhim, is the second Pandav and son of Kunti and god Pawander. Arjuna, the third Pandav and also the son of Kundi but in another god Indra. Nakula, the fourth Pandav and eldest son of Madri, the second wife of Pandu, and Ashwini Kumar na Satya. The fifth Pandav and the youngest is Sahaveda. The actual grandfather of Pandavas is Krishna Vaipanaya Vyasa, who was actually the author of this epic. He endangered Pandu and the blind Dhritarashtra upon their father's widows in order to preserve the lineage. The most dramatic figure of the entire Mahabharata, however, is Krishna, the son of Vasudeva of the tribe Andhaka Vernis, located in the city of Varaka in the far west near the ocean. His name thus Krishna Vasudeva. But he is also human instantation of the supreme god Vasudeva Narayana Vishnu descended to earth in human to form to rescue the law, good deeds, right, virtue, and justice. Krishna Vasudeva was also a cousin to both Bharata Fratis, but he was a friend and advisor to the Pandavas and became the brother-in-law of Arjuna, Pandava, and served as Arjuna's mentor and charioteer in the Greek. Krishna Vasudeva is portrayed several times as eager to see the purgative war occur, and in many ways, the Pandavas were his human instruments for fulfilling the end.
Let's proceed our discussion with the Mahabharata epic written by Vyasas. We are now in a game of dice. So Dhritarashtra's challenged the eldest Pandava Yudhishthira in a game of dice. So in that game, the Dhritarashtra's won all his brothers and himself, and even Pandava's common wife, Draupadi. So they humiliated all the Pandavas and physically abused Draupadi. So after that, they drove the Pandava party into the wilderness for 12 years, and for the 12 years, Pandava had to be followed by the Pandava living somewhere in society in disguise without being discovered for one more years. After 13 years, Duryodhana wasn't willing to restore the Pandavas to their half of the kingdom. So, therefore, they called their allies and their armies for both sides, and they drove in the Kauros field. So in Koro is one of the eponymous ancestor of the clan. So 11 division in the army of Duryodhana and 7 division for Yudhishthira. So, several of the important ethical and theological themes of the Mahabharata are tied together in this sermon, and this Song of the Blessed One has exerted much of the same sort of powerful and far-reaching influence in the Indian civilization that New Testament in the Christendom. So after that, in the 18th day of the battle, the Pandavas won the battle. But although it's a victory, but it creates trouble except all those who were able to understand things on the divine level. Especially the Shifli Krishna, the Vasa, and the Bhishma. The, the Bratas patriarch, who was emblematic of the virtues of era, is now passing away. So the Pandavas' two sons by two other mothers, respectively the young warrior Gatotkacha and Abhimanyu, were all tragic victims in the war. Worse, perhaps, the Pandava victory was won by the Pandavas slaying 4 men who were quasi-father to them, which is the Bhishma, and their teacher Drona and Karma, who was thought one of the Pandavas knew it, the firstborn and the premarital son of their mother, and their maternal uncle Shalya. So all of these men are succession of the supreme commander of Duryodhana, or they are succession of Duryodhana's army during the war. So equally troubling was the fact that the killing of the first 3 of these fathers of some other enemy warriors as well was accomplished only through crook stratagems, or what they call the Gemupayas, most of which were suggested by Krishna Vasudeva, that was absolutely required by the circumstances. So the ethical gaps is not resolved to anyone's satisfaction on the surface of the narrative of the aftermath of the war, dominated by the sense of honor and malice. So Yudhishthira alone was terribly troubled, but his sense of whole wrongfulness persisted in the end of the text, in spite of the fact that everyone else from his wife to Krishna Vasudevara told him that the war was right and good in the aspects of the good law, what they call the duties and responsibilities of the king. So these debates and instructions of the account of his sacrifices are told or some length for the massive pacification, which this pacification is the agreement of peacefulness between the two parties that aims to neutralize the inevitable miasma of the war, which is the unpleasant feeling of the war. In the years that followed the war, Drishtara and his queen Gandhari and Kunti, the mother of Pandavas, live a life asceticism in the forest, retreat and died eulogic calm in the forest fire. So after 36 years of the war, Krishna Vasudeva and his clan was slaughtered himself in the drunken bout. So they killed themselves. So Krishna sold now dissolved it back into supreme god Vishnu. So after that, the Pandavas told themselves that it is now for them to leave this world and then embark upon the what we call great journey, and died along the way. So Yudhishthira was only left along the way with his dog. So he made it to the gate of heaven, and the dog is an incarnated form of the Dharma, which is his father. So, Dhartarashtra's, only Dhartarashtra's were in heaven, which Yudhishthira had come. Yudhishthira find out that only the Dhartarashtra's are in heaven. So they told Yudhishthira that all his brothers are in hell. And Yudhishthira is more willing to follow them if that is the case. So it then revealed that they were all really in heaven. So Yudhishthira's brother are really in heaven. This is just only an illusion that had been one of the final tests for him, for Yudhishthira. So that is the end of the Mahabharata epic. So let's proceed to the central theme of the Mahabharata. So what is the central theme? So the central theme of Mahabharata is the idea of sacred duty. So the characters who perform their duty are rewarded, while those who do not are punished. So obeying one's sacred duty is a key pillar of Hindu religion. So it's all about doing their duties and responsibilities. This epic also shows the story of good versus evil. So those are good are rewarded and those are not are punished. Just like for example, Yudhishthira is rewarded and Duryodhana is punished. So this epic also depicts the Hindu beliefs of that provides details about their worships, their codes of conduct in ancient Hindu culture. So it also depicts their culture. So this epic also shows the man's struggle in the complexity of attaining a peace and a complexity of moral duty. So that is the central theme of the Mahabharata. So let's proceed to the Mahabharata literary elements. So what is the literary elements in the Mahabharata? So the genre is epic, and the setting and context are in India and circa the Iron Age, and the narrator point of view, which is the series of narrators. There are series of narrators that these are then nested of narration. So tone and mood, it is a bellicose and spiritual. So when we say bellicose, it is aggression or the willingness to fight. So which the epic itself depicts. And spiritual. So protagonist and antagonist. Protagonist is Yudhishthira and antagonist is of course then Duryodhana. So the major conflict in this epic is that Duryodhana provoke a war with Yudhishthira and his brothers over the rights of their brother's kingdom. So that is the major conflict. That's the start of the conflict in the story. So the climax is that an 18 days of blood war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas that destroys the world. So that is the climax of the story, the battle, the 18 days battle. So that's the Mahabharata literary elements, and that is the Mahabharata all about. So thank you for watching and keep safe everyone. God bless.